Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Melinda. I'm the host of this WYN Conferences Day 2 WYN Croatia Summit 2022. So, welcome to the speaker, Latrivia. Hi, Latrivia. How are you? Latrivia, you are on mute.
Good. Hi. I
How are
am
you doing today?
doing good. Trying to be able to share my presentation. Give me a
Before
second.
you start your presentation, 1 second, I'll give a brief description about you. Okay, so later you can start your session.
Say that again.
So before you start your session, I'll give you a brief introduction about you. Okay.
Okay.
So Latvia is on the win stage. So welcome Latvia. So Latvia Gunn is a youth transformational consultant with a background as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. With over 20 years of professional and personal experience, she supports professionals who work with high risk youth to shift mindsets, motivate for change, and to overcome negative environments. Thank you so much. This is the introduction of Latrivia. As Latrivia, you can go ahead and start presenting your presentation. Latrivia, are you there? You are on mute.
Can-
Latrivia, you are on mute. Latvia, you are on mute. Can you please unmute and talk?
It keeps every time I click over to upload, it seems like it mutes on me. So let me see. Hold on. Do this.
Yes, Latvia, you need any help from my side? Are you able to present? We are so excited to listen your presentation. Are you
I
there,
think I will
Latvia?
be able to present. I
Are
am. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. So you are
Can you
still
hear
with
me?
us. Yes, I
Okay.
can hear you.
I am here. I'm trying. Yes, I'm still here. Okay, perfect. I'm uploading 1 second. It's spinning, it's spinning.
Yeah. Okay. So we can able to see your screen. Thank you so much. So you can start your session. Have a great day.
Okay, I am trying to cut my camera on and it's not working. So, anyways, my name is Latrivia
It's working. We can see you.
Guinn. Can you see my screen?
Yes. We can see you as well.
Okay. Oh, okay, you can see me. Okay, so my name is I'm doing my topic. Oh, my page isn't responding. Okay, I'm sorry, you guys. I am Latrivia Guinn, and I am doing my topic on progressive prevention of mental health, the guidelines for improving mental health while you're at home. Let's see if it says my page isn't responding
So, if possible, can you send it to contact at the winconferences.com so that
as
we
I'm
can
trying to
share
go on.
from
So
our
I'm going
side?
to try to. Can you still hear me and see me?
Yes, yes, but we cannot see your presentation. So, is this possible to send your presentation to our email ID?
It's not responding when I'm trying to click. So I'm going to snap through my slides, see if I can. It's not letting me access my information. Every time I click off to look at my slides, it mute me, so I can't talk that way.
So, Latrivia, can you
Can
hear
you
me?
guys still hear me?
Can you hear me, Latrivia?
Oh,
Latrivia, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, Latrivia. Are you there? Are you still with us? Latrivia. Hello. Yeah, we can see your screen. We can see your screen. Okay. I hope Latrivia has some network issues.
on my end,
We can see your screen. You can start your session.
my
Yes, Latrivia. Please, you can go ahead and start your session.
I apologize.
Latrivia.
Can you hear me?
Yes. You have unstable network issues with you. Latrivia, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can see your presentation. Could you please go ahead and start the session, please?
It will not go through for me. It won't let me slip through the slides. Ah! Okay.
Latrivia, are you there, Latrivia? Hello. So, Latrivia, I think you have an network issues. Can you please figure it out so that we can get back to you on the next session, next slot, okay?
Say that again.
So, can you please figure out your network issue so that we can start another session and we can give you the next slot, okay?
Okay, thank you. I apologize.
No problem, it happens. So, can you please send me in between to our email ID your presentation, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hi, Latrivia. You're back with very good internet connection now. Latrivia, can you hear
Can you,
me?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh
So go
goodness.
ahead with your session. You can start presenting. Latrivia, are you on mute? Latrivia, are you there? You're on mute.
Yep, I am here. And
Yes, please go ahead. Thank you. Latrivia, are you there? Can you hear me, Latrivia?
I can, and I am just am trying. Okay. Oh, you know what? I can do this. I forgot. Okay, hold on. Hold on. I think I got it. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So when I share, when I switch, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
You can't hear me?
we can hear you.
When, when I share my screen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm about to share my screen. I want to see if you can. I'm just switching my tab. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start again. And so I am doing my topic on progressive prevention of mental health. So I am, good evening. My name is Latrivia Guinn, and I am a youth transformation consultant with over 20 years of experience. I support professionals who work with high risk youth to shift mindsets, motivate for change, and to overcome negative environments. My background um, includes 10 years of nursing practice. I have a master's in nursing education, along with my board certification as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I'm the author of Overcomer, the 7 Steps of Overcoming in a Negative Environment. I'm the owner and CEO of Hope Health Services. I formulated a nonprofit youth empowerment program called Creating Sparks. I'm also a wife of over 20 years, mother of 4 young adults, and grandmother of soon to be 4 beautiful grandbabies. All of this stems from my core of being a believer in Jesus Christ. Oh, this is my family. I have 4 young adults, 2 boys and 2 girls, and soon to be 4 grandchildren. I know I look pretty young, but it's all in the genes. So let's talk about progressive prevention. Today, we're going to talk about progressive prevention of mental health. I'm going to start off defining my title. According to Google, progressive means happening or developing gradually or in stages, implementing social reform or new liberal ideas, and is a verb that expresses an action in progress. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, prevention means stopping something from happening, to hold back, and to keep from happening. One of the first questions that is asked in a psychiatric evaluation is there any family history of psychiatric illness? Well, if I was getting a psych eval done, my answer would be yes. Mental health is important to me because I have an uncle who was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I have a sister who suffers from bipolar, another sister who suffers from anxiety and depression. I also have 2 nieces who suffer from depression, so much so that they both tried to commit suicide. So, preventing mental health is important to me for many different reasons. So, how many of us know that prevention is better than intervention, right? There are 3 levels of prevention, and it's primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention levels. The primary prevention levels focuses on health promotion, a specific protection to avoid a mental break. It includes lots of education to either individuals or communities. When addressing mental health, it's important to understand the origin of what is happening. There are several origins, but today we will focus on one origin, and that includes your thoughts. Secondary prevention leads to early diagnosis and prompt treatment to avoid a crisis. Many people find themselves here not knowing which way to go. Tertiary prevention identifies the limitations of the disease process, prevent complications, and seeks to maintain treatment. I'm going to take you on a journey of how you can implement a social reform using simple, practical tools that will gradually stop the forward movement of mental illness on each level. Did you know? According to statistics, 1 in 8 children aged 5 to 19 have a mental health problem. In Europe, 1 out of 6 adults experienced a mental health disorder just last week, something just as common as anxiety or depression. In the US, it's 1 out of 5 who have a mental health disorder. Treating mental health can be very expensive. I did a cost comparison on Europe and the United States. Europe has free healthcare which is absolutely amazing, right? So you can like raise your hand if you could actually benefit from free healthcare, because I know I sure can. Europe have estimated a total of 13 billion euros to help treat the mental health crisis that they are experiencing. $13 billion. Now in America, we do not have the luxury of our government paying for our health care unless you're on government assistance. And even in that event, you still have some out of pocket costs. For instance, my grandmother's on Medicare, but she has co-pays and certain deductibles that she has to meet. Who can guess how much the US has allocated to address our mental health crisis? A whopping $225 billion. Yes, you heard it right. $225 billion. Now that's a lot of money. Did you know the mental health crisis increased after the pandemic? How many of you were affected in some way or another? The thoughts of the isolation, the thoughts of being in the house, can't get out, don't know what's going to happen. A study also was done showing that there was an increase in healthcare workers suffering from mental health disorders as they dealt with the trauma, the death of patients, and their own personal issues. With that, there was also a shortage of help. For those seeking secondary prevention, which is the most common, it is taking individuals up to 6 weeks or more just to get an appointment with a mental health professional. On the third level, the tertiary level, in certain areas, those who are in crisis are waiting up to several months to even get a hospital bed to help stabilize their symptoms. The government is trying their best to figure out how they can prevent this crisis, how they can help it. They're changing laws, fighting for reform to help decrease these wait times. But the increased demand is leading to burnout on the few healthcare providers that are left. Out of the people who do get to be seen, a study shows that only 10% are actually being treated effectively. 10%. What do we do? Of those who actually get into their appointment and actually begin to get treatment, only 10% report effective treatment. That means we have a problem. You may be wondering, well, what do we do? What is the solution? Is there any hope? We discussed earlier about the origin. I want to divert your attention back to the mind. To the mind is where everything begins. Those thoughts, the brain. The brain is such a complex, unique mechanism. It is very powerful. It is the central command center for everything. It has the capability of keeping you alive. It literally controls your breathing, your heart rate, your respirations, your blood pressure, your body temperature. Input and output of fluids, it sends signals to every neuron in your body. This is where you make decisions, reason, and come up with plans. This is where you actually can create. This shows if you have a victim mindset or a creator mindset. This shows whether you look at the glass half full or half empty. Your thoughts and how you think is so important. Your body is, you get sick, right? And you got a physical ailment. If you had proper nutrition and rest, your body will actually begin to heal itself. The mind is the only thing that you have to manually train to do something different. You literally have to begin to think different, speak different, force yourself, really, those thoughts. You have to take control of them. It's so easy to revert back to a negative thought. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with positive thoughts, your life will start to change. I did some research on negative thoughts and the effect that it has on the brain. One study done on 643 undergrads 84% showed how rumination and worry caused repetitive negative thinking, which led to depression and anxiety. A follow up 6 months later showed those with increased negative thinking had an increase in negative symptoms. Another article titled Thinking Too Much showed how people who have challenges with loss of income, family structure, access to healthcare, single family, feeling disempowered, dealing with abuse, dealing with infidelity can cause one to think too much. This overthinking can be identified as racing thoughts, where you can't shut your brain off. You can't even concentrate, right? You can't even hardly sleep at night. You begin to be anxious. These thoughts, you feel depressed. These thoughts can become so intrusive that it can potentially lead to psychosis or other severe conditions. I had a patient who was dealing with some personal issues, dealing with some abuse, dealing with some, her children were being taken, and she had never had any issues with psychiatric illness, nothing in her, she did have a family history of it, but she had never experienced anything. And all these negative encounters caused her to overthink, begin to feel hopeless, and begin to dwell on those feelings, which led her to feeling suicidal, which led her to being hospitalized. Dealing with psychosis, having to take medication. This particular article that I read encouraged people to really focus on suppressing things that are invading their thoughts, to help prevent death, even by suicide. A final article that I'll reference is the effect of simulated thought stimuli. This process included speaking, either neutral or negative, then hearing it, and how the mind favored the negative thought, which began to go through the cycle of negative thinking, which also then showed the correlation of how they began to feel depressed and how they began to feel anxious and how they couldn't control their feelings. And as they began to do that, they spiral down. What do we do? Together, we can promote a culture of mental health prevention, no matter which level you're in, in the primary level of just thinking differently, right? The primary level focuses on education. It focuses on thinking, what those thoughts look like, educating. The secondary level focuses on actual treatment. Being a prevention is primary is awareness, and secondary, sorry, and then secondary is actually treating it, controlling your thoughts. Tertiary is actually dealing with mental health resuscitation, is actually gaining back control and actually taking care of those thoughts. How do you gain control? One thing I would like to talk about is sometimes we have to take control of how we think. At the age of 16, I had an opportunity to change my negative thinking. Running away at 14, I dropped out of school and found myself around a group of girls that had decided they were having sex like with a different guy every night. And I decided I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do those things. So I ended up finding another girl, and I'm like, hey, me and you, we are going to do something different. We're going to think differently. right? This is not going to be our life. And I needed her to buy in. So I told her, I'm like, we're going to be up here and they're going to be down here and we're going to do something different. So we chose to get with one guy and to get with one guy only. This was something that was really exciting because to this day, almost 30 years later, right, we both are still with that same guy and we're married and all of our children are by that particular, by that guy, which we was able to beat some of the statistics. Now, when I was in nursing school, we were taught that I was, the body and how we got to heal, and we was doing that. As I was treating and doing my bedside care, I began to see patients who were um, dealing with a lot of physical ailments. But as I began to talk with them, I realized that they were dealing with mental issues as well. And it started with those ulcers, that negative thinking and stress formulated the ulcers. Or, for instance, when you are about to have surgery, they tell you they want the person they have to be in a good state of mind when they're going to have surgery. They can't be suicidal or feeling like they're going to die. You have to check their mental health status, right? Otherwise, if a person is going in for surgery and they feel like they're about to die, it's a possibility that they could, right? So you really want to make sure their state is in a good, a safe place. I'm dealing with and I'm talking with my patients, and I'm realizing I really like to focus on the core issue of why we're having a problem, right? Sometimes you can take medications and it will help with the symptoms. For instance, pain medications. Pain medications will help block the receptor so you don't feel the pain, but it does not prevent the cause or stop the cause of why you're having pain. The same thing as in mental health. We can take medications to help with our symptoms, but there's a root cause of why we're having these symptoms. I had a patient that came to see me and she was severely depressed. She was so depressed that she came in, everything in her body, her voice, her body language, everything showed depression. She would talk and, I'm depressed. My husband is going to leave me. He's not going to, I don't want to hold my baby. I can't do this. And I'm asking her all these questions, and everything was just negative, negative, negative. So much so that I started feeling the effects of her energy. And I'm like, okay, we got to do something different. Every time I asked her a question, it was something else negative. And I began to use what I would call a Beck method. And it's believe, encourage, and connect. I had to begin to talk to her. First, I had to believe that she could actually change. I had to believe that I could switch her mindset. I had to encourage her and I had to connect with her. So many times people are getting mental health services, but they don't feel a connection with their therapist. They don't feel a connection with their provider. And thus, I feel that we're not getting, that's why it's only 10% actually being the treatment being effective. As I'm seeing people come in, they're like, the medication is not working. Well, that's because there's something that you have to do as well. So as I began to empower her and encourage her and talk to her and tell her, this is the only thing you have. Your mind, that's all you have. And it controls everything. And if you don't fight for your mind, if you don't fight, you have to fight because the medication can only do so much, right? But if you continue to think negative, do negative, be negative, say, all those negative things, and you continue to keep going down that path, you can't change. You have to do something with it. I have my sister, she's a diabetic. And she started off just having her, the increased elevations of her blood sugar. Then she got on metformin. Then she got on insulin. And things started just progressing. But you know what her thought process was? I'm going to eat this and I'm going to take my insulin. And I'm like, you're not going to ever get better if you don't change. What is the reason why you became a diabetic, right? What is the reason why these ailments are coming? You have to go back and change that in order to be able to progress and get healing. So as we began to talk with the patients or those who are dealing with mental health issues, if we go back and deal with the origin of their thoughts, then that's how we move forward. I had another young man who came and see me, young, good looking, in his early 20s, and he was dealing with schizophrenia. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and the challenge was 6 months prior, one of his family members died. Like three of them died back to back, and they got killed for whatever reason, gang, some kind of violent situation. Well, he began to think very negative. He began to think like, what is going on? What's happening? And he didn't know how to handle it. So as the thoughts began to come, they couldn't find out who actually did it. He didn't know what to do. So the thoughts, they just spiraled him out. They just spiraled him. He didn't know that this one going to get me. And how do I know that's going to get me? And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. So much so that he started hearing things and seeing things and all over the thoughts of what happened. Then he began to became so paranoid because of them thoughts that he began to accuse the neighbors, thought they were going to get him, that they were watching him. And he began to try to drown it out with music, trying to smoke weed, trying to do all these different things. But he got into crisis, right? Got into crisis and began to have to get hospitalized because he couldn't control those thoughts. He didn't want to take medications, but we had to figure out a way, how do we get you back? And the thing is that he got to a point where he didn't want to. He just felt like nothing was going to change. Mentally, he felt like, I just can't. So if you get to a point where in your mind you feel like you cannot, like that the saying says, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. If you get to a point where you feel like there is no hope, and if you don't fight in mentally to get you to that next level, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck there. And it is going to continue to progress. It's going to continue to progress. So, conclusion. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Everything that we deal with starts in the mind. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Your brain is the control center. It controls everything by sending signals to the neurons in every area of your body. It even helps keep you alive. It controls the regulation of your body temperature, respirations, heart rate, blood pressure, and more. Your physical body with proper nutrition and rest can heal itself, but the mind, you have to manually choose to do something different. You have to choose to think different, speak different, and thus be different. So while you're at home, right, while there's no way to get in to see a provider, what do? If there's a long wait list for you to actually get a bed, a crisis bed, the 3 levels of prevention that I would like to focus on is just, for one, just be aware. Be aware that your thoughts control everything. Be aware. The second level of prevention, just control your thoughts. Control them thoughts. Get them back under control. And then third one, you have to fight. When you're in a crisis mode, you have to fight. There's this, I like to consider, CPR is used when somebody's at home, right? We can utilize CPR if there's a crisis. You have a heart attack and there's no heart rhythm. You can use CPR. But when for the mentality, the mind, I would like to say MHR, mental health resuscitation, right? Because sometimes you have to shock somebody into a rhythm to get them to fight. When you are so down and so depressed, sometimes you have to give a forceful injection of empowerment and encouragement. You have to do all these things to get them to change their mind. You have to try to shock them into thinking differently, getting them to a point where they feel like they can fight, get them to a rhythm where they can actually mentally have a rhythm where they can fight for themselves and they can be able to change their thinking. So by activating my back system that I would say I use through the presentation, I pray that I have connected to each one of you in some way. I pray that you are encouraged to keep fighting. And I pray that you now believe that you have the power to address your mental health. I believe, do you?
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, Latrivia. So here is a question from our audience. So this really a very good information. Thank you so much. Here is a question. So yeah. So how to overcome with mental health issues?
How to overcome negative health issues?
Mental health issues.
You said
Mental
medical,
he- Mental health issues.
how to overcome it?
Yes.
You begin by, I believe, is first by your thoughts. So I'll say that there are different origins, right? The one origin that I was going to focus on mainly is your thoughts. Now sometimes there are other origins, and we don't have time to get into that today, but the one origin that I was focusing on is your thoughts. And as you begin to think differently, it actually can change how you actually feel. But the speech center of your brain actually controls everything. And when you begin to talk to yourself and you begin to speak life, things change. Like when you begin to, if you begin to say that I'm sick, I'm dead, I'm about to die, your whole body begins to respond to what you're saying and how you're feeling. You know, like there's people who actually feel like they began to say, I got a back pain. And they began to believe that they have a back pain. They continue to say it, and they actually begin to bend over and they walk in, and you like they have back pain. Like some things are just all in the mind. When you begin to speak differently, and I like to reference even the Bible because when, like for instance, if you're feeling weak, it says, if you're weak, let the weak say that I'm strong. There's something about when you begin to speak differently, you begin to activate power for your body to do something different, right? The speech center can actually control so much. When you begin to speak life in yourself, when you begin to hear that, exactly, death and life are in the power of the tongue. And sometimes I remember having to, when I was dealing with a lot of pressure, right, mentally, I had to begin to speak to myself. And I could just speak passively, right? Because when you're dealing with thoughts, those thoughts can be so intrusive that you're feeling like, oh my God, I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do, right? But then you have to come back with that same power. No, I'm not going to be discouraged. No, I'm not going to give up. No, I'm going to fight. I had to tell myself, you're going to fight. You got this, girl. Get up, keep moving, right? So sometimes you have to fight back. That's all we have is our mind. And a lot of the illnesses that we're dealing with mentally, it starts here. So we have to fight. We have to fight. Cast down those evil thoughts. Cast them down. Take control. You got control. You have power. You are a creator. You don't have to be a victim. Get up and fight. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. You're so involved. Thank you so much for your beautiful presentation. So thank you so much for being a part of this WYN conferences as a speaker. And bye bye for the day. So
Thank
let's go
you.
to the another session. Please join the another session. Bye bye.
Bye.
Let's jump into the another session.